All right, Luca Nation. So I'm kicking this off right off the bat, and there's a reason for that because Cage has sent.
It's a little fuzzy. I don't want you're an audio guy, and if I didn't stop you with this, you're telling me, oh, it's audio, and you should have told me. So it's a little like, yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You would have
Oh,
been like
that's so much better.
who's the third brother in The Godfather?
Fredo.
Fredo. Yeah. If you didn't tell me, you would be the equivalent. You would be the equivalent of Fredo. So Luca Nation, I'm kicking this off because you guys deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve the candid conversation that we're about to have for the next 30 to 60 minutes. Cage and I haven't talked today, but he sensed a bit of venom from me.
Oh,
so I wanted to do the courtesy. I wanted to do you guys the justice, the courtesy of having our first conversation of the day right here live on the air. And you know what's cool? I want to thank our audience because you guys give me a lot of grace. I skew younger, and truthfully, Cage, I don't know if you agree with this. I think our audience skews older. Like they have a lot of experience. A lot of the people that comment on YouTube, they've been through cycles. A lot of the people send us IGDMs, they've been through cycles. So they're very intelligent. They're cerebral. They're able to spot things. And maybe I'm going to cop on here and look like a total doofus.
Maybe.
I've already resigned to that. Would it be the first time? So all I'm asking you guys is that grace that you've extended me for about 550 episodes, please extend it here today because I am so frustrated. I am so frustrated on two fronts. I feel like we're all being bamboozled. I feel like we're all being manipulated. So I'll start off with the one thing that really ticked me off. It really ticked me off. So yesterday there was this card floating around. It was the LeBron James Refractor, okay, the Topps Chrome. And it was graded in an ISA case. Now, I have nothing against new grading companies. But then I started seeing Steve Aoki, Josh Luber, Gary V, MC Sports Cards, all the way down the list, reposting this and being like, I'm chasing this card. And I'm sitting here, really? You're chasing this card? This card that's graded by a company that wasn't around 2 weeks ago? So that kind of pissed me off. And I'll tell you why it pissed me off. It's because these very wealthy, connected, influential individuals, it feels to me like they kind of sit behind, in their like text messaging groups, and they think about what's my next bag to pump. And they all think that we're idiots. They all think we're morons and we don't see what they're doing. So I'll pause there. There's obviously more because at the same time, I'm watching the NFT space just get pumped and bamboozled as well. You see this Logan Paul, he comes in and there's this 200 ETH sale on the Night Goddess. Is it really a sale? Because for me, what I see is a lot of similarities to last year when the Jordan Fleer PSA 10 was a $760,000 card. And then we remember what happened after that. All the retail investors got burned while the rich people took their money out and they were on yachts in the Cayman Islands or in Monaco enjoying their life because they're manipulating the markets instead of letting markets do what markets should do. So that's what I'm seeing. Maybe it's a pattern that only Andrew Goldberg's seeing and I'm a moron and I'm going to miss out on all the alpha. But that's where my venom comes from today. The rich few, I feel like, are manipulating the markets. And I'll say one last thing. I was into poker when poker was just getting big, when Full Tilt and Poker Stars and all these, all these websites started kind of forming in the early 2000s. And what happened was there was a few really, really, really good poker players. They would all be in forums together off the chat. They would join a table, 2-3 of them, and they would take money from the retail guys. They would collude and conspire to take money from retail people. And it doesn't seem like a big deal until there's no more money left to take. And when there's no more money left to take, it's like a house of cards that falls on each other.
I love you, man. So listen, let me give you a quote. Okay, a quote. Please be advised that ISA is not a grading company we acknowledge as highly reputable. And as such, we do not guarantee that this card will grade by another third-party grader. If you read that in an auction, would you buy ISA grading?
Repeat it?
If somebody was selling an ISA card through Ken Golden or PWCC, for example, and the auction had that direct quote, you ready? Direct quote. Please be advised that ISA is not a grading company we acknowledge as highly reputable, and as such, we do not guarantee that this card will grade by another third-party grader.
No, I would never buy that card in that holder.
Okay, so what you have to do, guys, is do a little bit of research here. And I didn't know we were going to go into ISA. I don't know we were going to go into any of these things, right? And keep in mind,
And just to be clear, I'm not against ISA. I'm against
I
the
think it's
pumping
great.
of ISA.
I think. Listen, the more grading companies, the better. Okay, but guys, you got to do a little research, right? And if you look on, hey, there's forums.collectors.com. Do you know what those forums are? That's the Collectors Universe forum. So take this for what it's worth. We're talking about a grading company on a show that is currently being paid by another grading company, reading you a forum post that's on the forums of another grading company. So, can't get much wilder than this. But ISA's been around for a while. You just haven't seen them. But they've been around for a while. They've been around, I think, since 2010. And I found a Collectors Universe forums post from 2013 where somebody posted they were trying to buy an ISA graded card in Gem Mint to grade it and eventually landed in a PSA holder. Can I crack it out? Is it reputable? And people are like, yeah, don't bother. I know there was an OPC Gretzky ISA 10 that was for $2,000. Remember, this is 2013, so don't worry about these prices, guys. Everything, the price on everything back then was cheaper, right? Said somebody posts on February 17, 2013, the guy that owns ISA buys and sells PSA cards. You're not going to come out ahead by cracking out ISA cards and then sending them a PSA. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, great. Exactly. Don't buy any ISA items. Expect them to cross into PSA. Thanks for the information. You name it. And as we scroll down, there was a Jordan, an 86 Jordan, and an 84 USFL Steve Young on eBay. MJ, you name it. And then you scroll down and it says, hey, PWCC is auctioning the Jordan. Part of the item description is as follows. Dead-centered and stunning copy. Please be advised, however, that ISA is not a grading company we acknowledge as highly reputable, and as such, we do not guarantee that this card will grade by another third-party grader. That's straight in the PWCC auction.
In 2013 or recently?
In 2013. In 2013.
PSA
that's a PWCC auction.
Were they around in 2013?
Of course. I was buying from PWCC for a long time. Yep. So somebody says, oh, if you're trying to cross over an ISA to PSA, you probably have as much success getting superpowers from a spider bite. Yeah, so, it's fun stuff. Then, listen, somebody says, I had an ISA 9 Jordan crossover to 8.5, but I submitted it raw. So, I guess, guys, listen, here's the thing. I think the more graded is the better, right? I mean, I really do. I think your point is not about whether or not it's reputable or whatever the story is there. You're saying, why do shillers come out? Why do pumpers come out? Why do all these things come out? And I think in a post today, ISA came out and said no one's been paid for their post. Right? No one's been paid for their post. No one's been paid for their marketing. That's what they said. So that's an interesting thing, right? Does it change your stance if no one's been paid?
No, because I'm not a moron, and I'm sick of retail people. I'm sick of the rich thinking that we're just idiots. Like, I'm just really fed up with it because they're not paid, but you could do. I owe you a favor.
Well, listen. Here's the thing, right? So I get it.
They might be owners of the company. The people.
Well, we don't know, right? And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know
who.
I don't know who the owner of the company is. I mean, that's an interesting thing also. But I'll tell you this, right? So, and I mean, there's a Net 54 baseball thread. It's also not exactly the most favorable thing in the world. An older thread. There's one in 2018. There's one even older than that. And I got to tell you, nothing about the card. I have to grade with them to be able to comment. Otherwise, I'm not really speaking with any. I haven't seen the card. I can't tell you whether the card, the Lebron that's out there, is a 10, deserves a 10, should be a 10. I can't, I have no way of doing it. But,
maybe it's always been like this. Maybe it's always been people with influence line the pockets of their friends. Maybe that's just the reality of life, and it's a part of growing up. A few times when we started the show, you told me I'm naive. I am very naive. So maybe that's just the case, but let's just talk NFTs, right? So there was like a World of Women sale, which is, and there was a 200 ETH sale, right? So this is like the six-step process that I think any pump would go through. But tell me if you agree with this. So you buy into an NFT project with your friends. One has a huge kind of following. The friends, no one knows who owns them. You know, no one knows about these people. You hold. Then you have this market pump where Logan Paul, Gary Vee, Steve Aoki, they tweet about a project. Okay? It comes in, there's a record sale. Wow, look, someone bought my World of Women for 200 ETH. Now you have all of this activity, all of this, the floor price is moving up, and your friends are now able to get out into this newfound liquidity. They're able to sell into the strength, and then you just rinse and repeat.
Listen, entirely possible. Entirely possible. But I mean, how would you do that with ISA? Is that different? So let me also say this, guys. If you look at that website, it's clearly all new, and clearly they have a history, and it looks like they've revamped, like a lot of companies did in 2021. It looks like it says August 2021, new look label, several enhanced security features. October of 2021 is a new website. So it looks like, maybe if you're giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, maybe they launched. It's new, and starting 2022, ISA is going to be a new push. I'm sure there was a lot of, people talking about other grading companies that came out. HGA came out, and people were talking about them when they started opening up and started to make a push. So, it's entirely possible that it's just another, potential grader that has a history. And, maybe even the stuff that I just said, if it's a revamp and the company is basically starting over and, revamping the whole deal. Maybe some of the old stuff is gone. I mean, listen, guys, you can pull up stuff like that in this hobby about almost anyone. So especially folks in business. I mean, we all know about it seems like cardboard stays in business because of it. Every week somebody's doing something. So just to pivot, right, and get away from ISA. I understand what you're saying because, listen, it happens in the NFT world. A lot happens in the card world. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Let's just say I'm a wealthy collector that has 10 Michael Jordan PSA 10s, right? And those PSA 10s are worth $100,000, maybe $200,000 a piece. My collection's worth between $1 and $2 million. But I release one in auction, right? And it's auctioned and everybody's looking at it, and I tell a friend of mine to buy it for $700,000, right? Okay. So now my friend buys it for $700,000. I probably negotiated some crazy 5% VIG with the with the auction house. So the auction house gets $35,000 for that $700,000 sale, right? The guy who's buying it is my pal, right? I get the money, I give it right over to him. I pay him all his money back. The two of us are only out $35,000. I still have the card. He never takes possession of the card. I still have 10 Jordans. But you know what I've done? I've now set the market at $700,000. And no one is the wiser, right? And now, even if the next few sell at 600, 500, and it works its way back down, I've now set the market on these Jordans that if I wanted to sell my 10, they're not 100 to 200,000 anymore, and I've taken my $1 to $2 million collection and turned it into a $3, $4, or $5 million collection. So, is it that hard to do? I don't think so. It's just not in me to do it, but I understand exactly what you're saying because, with big money comes often big manipulation, and unfortunately, the retail folks like you and I are never going to be in the know. We're always acting after these things happen. We're
buying the Jordan at $600K, and then we're buying the Jordan to $300.
Mm-hmm. We're buying after, and if you think that we're talking BS, you think that this is smoke. Ask yourself how many people you know who bought Kobe Chromes and LeBron Chrome PSA 10s for between $20,000 and $40,000 when those were running up. Right? When those were on their way to 40 and on their way back down. You could probably count me in there as well. I'm sure I traded one here and there and, whatever the story is. But were those real comps? I have no idea. You know,
And you guys might be out there thinking, well, wait a second. I remember some of those record sales at the highest prices were bought by influencers. You got to wonder if they got burned on the price, wouldn't they be a little bit upset and disappointed and complaining? For some reason,
aren't we influencers, or you're talking about like legitimate influencers?
Like legitimate influencers, like a legitimate influencer who bought a doodle for $800,000. Like one of those legit influencers.
I mean,
he may or may not have had a dad who created a hibachi restaurant.
All right. Well, listen. So you're in a mood today, and I get it.
Yeah, I'm not
because
happy.
You always are looking out for the common man.
Bro, we came here with nothing.
Let me say this: Can we reach
money.
out to ISA? Can we see if ISA wants to come on the show and see if they want to talk? They probably won't, but I mean, we reach out and say,
No, they've commented. They've commented on our stuff. I like ISA.
Okay. All right.
I just want more transparency. Like, I want to know. Like, I just don't understand. Like, do they think we're stupid that like the most influential people in the hobby, just all of a sudden, all reposted ISA? Like, just magically.
Well, who posted?
Gary MC Sports Card, who's one of the most reputable collectors in the game. Like, we had the guy on our show. What is he reposting ISA cards for? Gary V. Gary hasn't talked about cards in a minute. And then he's like, love this card or looking for this card. No, you're not looking for an ISA 10. You're just not. Like, and I love you, G. I love you, man, but we're not stupid.
All right. Listen, maybe ISA is a bargain. Maybe
How
ISA
if they've 10 comps on eBay and 8 of them haven't been paid for?
Well, I think you have to go back further because at some point in time, the company had graded over 100,000 cards as of June of 2016. And in 2014, they had hit 5,000 total cards listed live on eBay. This is straight from their website, by the way. So, I mean, listen, how many card companies have we seen come in? I understand that's not the point. The point is the influencers. And so put a bow on it. Is the way we could start talking about some fun stuff. Because people like to laugh. People like some fun stuff from us. People want to talk about good stuff, fun stuff. You're watching out for them. So put a bow on it. Tell people what they need to look out for. Because I can't be like we're all Venom today. Like my Instagram post today was about a card that came in through a submission and somebody tried to color the damn thing. Right,
That's happened to me before. That happened with my Kobe Ultra.
There's animals on all sides of the equation, I guess. You know what I mean? We're taking a Sharpie to a card, and if you're gonna do it, come on, don't be so horrible. The Sharpie bleeds onto the white edge of the card. It makes it a little easy to see. All right, so put a bow on it for me. Talk.
What's the takeaway?
Yeah, what's the takeaway? What are people to do?
I mean,
are you going to say DYOR? Do your own research. Don't just listen to the influence. Like, what is the Andrew takeaway?
Well, the hard thing about research is places where you would go to research there are people creating content for that, right? So someone is on the other side of that research, and they're telling you what you should think and read.
So what's the upside? Sell all our cards now because we'll never get a fair shake. Just sell the cards. Sell everything. Go into the stock market because the public really does well there. I mean, there's no inside dealings going on in the stock market. What would you like us to do, pal?
Well, frankly, I started today's episode off like having a candid discussion because I don't have the solution.
Yeah,
I mean, like some of the cards I started looking at were ones that I thought would be iconic, but also are low pop. So at least I know the comp. The whole thing is you don't want to be stuck holding the bag. You don't want to be overpaying for something that's been just run up and manipulated. It's not the true price. So maybe one way to not do that, and honestly, what makes our audience, how I opened it, what makes our audience so special is they're very intelligent. So I think a lot of people will reach out with comments and tell me what they think is the best way because they've been through cycles. Yeah. I'm still a young, naive, and immature. But I started looking at cards that have significance, that are graded by reputable companies, and have a low pop, and kind of go there. So like I started going, Mickey Mantle, even in a low grade, right? That's not really manipulated because that never, has these insane run-ups and then fall. I started looking at a Messi sticker card that only has, 50 PSA 10s, but it's from, his second year. Maybe there's some value there. I just started to try to navigate markets that haven't been run up super, super crazy. Because when you have a lot, to pump a market, I do believe you need a lot of volatility and you need a lot of liquidity and you need a lot of pop, right? Like it's easier to manipulate, I think, a base market than like a base market of 20,000 pop versus, 20 pop, right?
Yep.
I don't know, Cage. I was hoping, maybe you could lead this fish to water because this
Well,
fish is floundering.
no, you're doing good, man. I mean, the point that we're trying to make, I think, is that you're looking out for folks, and that not everything isn't always as it seems. And sometimes you have to point out when there's stuff like that out there in the world. I guess you know what I mean. Like, it was definitely interesting, and we're in a lot of groups. And guys, we're bringing this up not because we want to, pick a fight or wow, we're doing some investigative digging. You couldn't go anywhere yesterday. I mean, we're probably combined in, what would you say, 100 Instagram groups. I mean, every single one of them, someone came in and said, "What's going on with this?" Like, I've never even heard of it, and all of a sudden, this guy's talking about it. This guy's talking about it. They're all talking about it at the same time, and every group we were in, from Joe Collector to big names in the hobby, all asking the same question. So, I guess money well spent, because if everyone's talking about you, isn't that the point, right? Isn't that the point? So
the point is not the point is to build a business that adds value to customers. It's to grade cards fairly and return them on time. It's to have affordable pricing. It's to build your reputation one brick at a time, like every single other person in the freaking world. There's no, your whole life you're told there's no elevator to the top. There's just stairs. Lies. If you know who runs the elevator, he'll let you on. Everyone else take the stairs. We'll see you at the top. There's going to be nothing there. You're going to jump off.
All right. Well, listen, let's talk about the Nick, because I'm taking a lot of slack here. But let's talk about the Nick. The Nick who, at MSG, had the last second game winner at MSG. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about a guy who, it's tough to have a last second winner like that. It doesn't happen that often in MSG. Let's talk about the guy who had that last second winner. He's a promising young player, averaging 15 points and what if that player went on to have multiple seasons where he averaged over 20 points? Right, multiple seasons over 20 points. Wait, just wait. Funny. Let me. Yeah, wait. Don't. Okay, I'm gonna lay it out. Multiple over 20 points. And what if he increased his rebound numbers, where he had multiple seasons of his career, like many seasons of his career, where not only did he average over 20 points, but averaged over 10 rebounds per game. Right, multiple seasons over 10 rebounds and 20 points, and throw in several seasons with over 3 assists. He's hitting game winners. And I'm telling you, I'm assuming that this young Nick star is going to average over 20, over 10 rebounds, over 3 assists a game, and he's going to be in the league for double-digit years, play for a long time, have many, many, many good seasons. What's his RPA worth? What's his rookie? You know what? I'm going to give you like a good one, right? What's an RPA, a numbered RPA of his?
$5,000.
$5,000. Okay. So right now,
but that's you described the middle of the pack player, like an average player.
Well, I was. Who was I describing? What young Nick hit the game winner? Going to average 20 points a season for the Knicks. Going to average 20 points. Who was I talking about?
RJ.
Correct. No, I was talking about David Lee. And you can buy his RPA for $15 or best offer on eBay right now.
Dude, David Lee was an interesting guy. He was
I'm talking about David Lee. And I set that up, obviously. Thank you for helping me there. I set that up the way I did. Never actually said RJ Barrett because I want people to be aware of the point that I'm trying to make. And it's RJ Barrett could play for a long time, and he can score 20 points a game. And he can hit game winners for the Knicks. And he can improve his numbers to over 10 rebounds, multiple seasons, improve his assists. He could be a star. He could be a great player. And he could be David Lee. And his 2005 exquisite RPA with a nice patch with multiple colors out of 225 is $99 sitting there on eBay and no one's touching the damn thing. His Upper Deck SPX RPA is $15 or best offer. His Ultimate Collection rookies, no one touches them at $80, $90. So this is a cautionary tale, guys, because we think that RJ Barrett's rookie, his RPA, if he goes and does 20 points a game and gets his rebound numbers up and becomes a contributing player and has those kind of crazy stats, it's going to be worth thousands of dollars down the road. Well, I'm telling you, it already happened. And you can get his RPA for $15.
People don't remember David Lee was like a solid player.
Solid. He was awesome. Sure.
So in his best seasons, 20 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, 3 assists per game.
Yeah. 22, 11.7, 3.6 for the Knicks. Yep. And played and started all 81 games, basically, in 09 and 10. Right? 11. He moved to Golden State after that. And with Golden State, 17, 20, 19, 19. With 10, 10, 11, and 9 as the rebound numbers. I mean, put together, at the end of his Knicks career, beginning of his Golden State career, put together a 5-6 year run where he was basically a 20-10-3 player. Not bad. Not a bad player.
I was watching that game. First off, an incredible game. The Celtics Knicks, they like battle it out this whole season. The games have been they've just been crazy. Shout out to Fournier. He doesn't want to play any other game except for revenge is a crazy thing. But I was watching RJ shoot foul shots at the end of the game, and I saw he missed them. And not only he missed them, like those kids that like when you're growing up and they're like mad that they missed a shot. Mm-hmm. But like you're not working that hard on your game. You're just trying to show off that like you're mad. I was like, dude, this guy isn't investable. He doesn't go right. He's got very limited offensive moves.
You're going to get some hate. People did not like that I went after RJ. I don't know. It's weird.
He's just not very good. He's just not that good. And he doesn't have – I don't see where his upside's going to come from, right? Like you have
he's no Malik Monk.
I would agree. Malik has –
Yes.
Dude, RJ Barrett.
I'm kidding. Relax, dude. I got to bring it back to Malik Monk. Yeah.
His career high is 35 points a game versus the Pelicans. Uh-huh. He hardly cracks 30. So my point is, how do I word this? Like you mentioned yesterday that he can't go right. Yeah?
Yeah. He doesn't go right. Have you seen him go right?
He doesn't go
people figure you out. And if you don't work on it, if you don't have that mentality to make your game better, then you're not going to last here. Or you'll last and you'll be a middle of the road player. Right?
1,000%. So just so you know why career highs are really interesting? Because it does show you what, at your best you can do, right? This is the NBA. I've talked about this a lot. It's the top 350 players in the world. Mm-hmm. It's the smallest. It's like the smallest of the small because there's a lot of people that play basketball. A ton of people play basketball. And this is the best 350. So what separates them is inches. Malik Monk has his career high is 36. RJ Barrett's career high is 35. So at their best, curious. I think they're very similar players. Why do I say that? It's surprising to me at this stage that RJ doesn't have a higher career high. And I think part of that is because there's only so many points in a game you could score by going left until the team's like, yo, stop him from going left.
That's right.
Even if you're
force him to beat you, right?
Even if you're shooting lights out. So I think RJ's upside is very, very limited. Unfortunately.
I mean, listen, I'm with you. And it's interesting to look at like how many points people score, what they can do in the league, what their high scores are, how often they score, X number of points, during the season. And I mean, what's funny about it is they're all very good. So don't fall in love with, this guy can score for. I use them all the time, guys, and now it's almost like a joke. But Devontae Graham scored 40 points against the Nets, right? And he's irrelevant. But in the last 8 games, he's broken 20 3 times. He has a 20, a 26, a 28 in the last 8 games, 3 times over 20 points. I mean, and no one's buying his cards anymore. I wish I could see what it was with Zion and see whether or not, this was a legit NBA player. He's also 127 years old. So it happens. But the point is, anybody can look good one night. Anybody can look good on a bank buzzer beater. That's great. It's awesome stuff. For the RJ and Nick fans out there, it's a good win against a dysfunctional Celtics team that took you to the brink. A huge comeback. The odds of coming back like that are, they're tiny, right? They are. Talk about an exciting game, I'm sure, to be at. But if you watch the game, and I watched every second of the game, RJ had nothing to do with that comeback. Nothing to do with that comeback at all, right? As a matter of fact, he almost blew it with the free throws at the end. You know what I mean? So I'm glad he hit the shot. People talking about the shot, I would use this as the time to get out on RJ if you got any of his stuff. Problem is, everybody's got this stuff coming back from PSA right now. So interesting. But hey,
what do you think of
just
Tatum?
one guy. What do I think of Tatum? Listen, Tatum
flashes, right?
I wonder what would happen with Tatum if he was on a team that had a different makeup, right? It's difficult to be the guy on a team when there's another guy that's just slightly lesser version of you. On some nights, a slightly better version of you. You know what I mean? Like if they were combining it a different way. You know what I would love to see? I'd love to see Tatum play with Embiid.
You know what I mean? Drafted Tatum.
Yes, and that's why I use him instead of Jokic. But that would be another good one also. An interesting thing there, guys. My play today is David Lee.
Markel Fultz.
Make sure you buy your David Lee. Make sure that you. No, but listen, I do this tongue in cheek, right? And obviously, I say that for a reason. I set it up for a reason because that is what I do, right? I set the stuff up. But it is a big picture thing, guys. If you listen to these influencers who we're not supposed to listen to, Gary Vee, right? He's been very, very steady in 99% of these NFTs that you're putting your money in now are going to fail. He's also been very steady in saying that look at the top 50, now top 75 NBA players of all time. Half the names in that list, people don't want to buy their cards. And those people became the top 75 players of all time. And they're not investable. There's not like a massive collector of these guys, right? You pull up the list if you like and look at some of the names on it. And you're like, who the hell is that? You know what I mean? So be mindful of that. I set up David Lee because if you guys were collecting in 05, 06 and getting David Lee RPAs, you probably weren't that happy because he wasn't supposed to turn into what he did in 09, 10, 11, 12 and that kind of stuff. But if it was 09, 10, 11, 12, people would be paying thousands of dollars for David Lee RPAs right now, exquisites and SPXs and that kind of stuff. And they wouldn't be worth that. You know what I mean? And look at what even with the run up in cards, someone like him who had one hell of a career and basically for the prime of his career, for a prolonged period of time, was an NBA 20-10-3 player in New York and California. Fan bases like you wouldn't, you're not going to get. He didn't play for Minnesota, right? And yet, I venture to say there's probably a lot of people listening to this who have never even heard of David Lee. So it's an educational kind of thing, right? It's one of those things where go look back, see what I'm telling you. And I actually use David Lee because, believe it or not, he's the last Knick player to hit a buzzer beater at Madison Square Garden back in, I think, 2006. What do you think
it is about playing at Madison Square Garden? Like, I feel like even the home team is nervous.
There's a lot of energy. It's a smaller venue than you would think. And, it gets loud. The energy that's in there is pretty crazy. Like you can see and watch some videos from this. It's just, people yell, man. People yell. People go a little nuts. I'm sure they yell everywhere. I'm sure there's a lot of stadiums that don't like it. I think it's also lost a lot of its luster. Where it used to be, the mecca of basketball, you name it. I think back in the day, it was that because there probably were more televised games from there. There were a lot of events that were done in Madison Square Garden. Ali fights, major events were there at MSG. And now major events are everywhere. You know what I mean? It's lost a little bit of its, luster.
But it does feel like the players feel this sense of pressure that's different there than, like, I was watching the Bucks-Raptors game. I mean, the Bucks just won a championship. You'd think their stadium would be full.
Yep.
No, people are chilling. People have empty seats. Not a ton of
I
energy
mean,
in the close game at the end of the fourth quarter. And Bucks have good fans. Bucks have like very good fans. But Madison Square Garden just has a different energy where, I mean, it takes a special talent to play there. I could see how a lot of players come to New York and struggle.
yeah. I mean, so my play, guys, is not David Lee. It's definitely not RJ Barrett. And if you're a fan, you're a fan. I mean, listen, might you be able to buy RJ Barrett cards and make some money on it in the near future? Sure. I mean, there's probably not a lot of people who held David Lee cards throughout the end of his career. Maybe people were making money on David Lee, buying him early on and then selling him in that run up. Who knows? The point is just that, I guess when you're investing in these cards now with young guys, you have to know what kind of a collector / investor you're going to be. Are you going to be holding those cards forever, or are you just looking for a flip in case RJ happens to hit a bunch of game winners in a row here and people are talking about him, right? So, that's the story there. What do you think of Jokic, man? How
I think
the
he's a
Nuggets
phenomenal
doing?
Player.
He's a good player, right? I mean,
He's a
he's
goofer.
definitely a good player.
Dude.
He's funny. He's a good teammate. So my play today,
Real
and
quick.
you can get whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see? Dude, Morris is whichever Markeith or Marcus. He's getting so much hate because
Remember
the
when
guys
you called them the Markeith brothers?
Dude, I butcher words. I don't know what it is, guys. I apologize. I can't believe I'm this brutal. But imagine picking a fight with somebody, them shoulder pumping you, and you're out for like 30 games. Like, that's what's happened. That's kind of crazy. Like, to lose a fight to someone's shoulder that you started, and now he's been out with whiplash. Sorry, I know it's off topic. Keep going.
No, it's on topic. I asked about him, right? So I mean, like that's the story there. I always liked the team. I think he, I think he's a very, very good player, right? And MVP, reigning MVP. My play is, and go wherever you want with this one, guys. If you want to go Prism, you want to go base, you want to go silver, you can go wherever you want. You want to find a fancier card, go right ahead. I think no matter what you get into now, you'll be in a good position to get out of it soon. Because they're not looking yet, but they're going to start to look. I would imagine we're still another month away from it. Possibly 2. I've been doing some research on this guy. You remember how I told you guys to follow the beat reporters, right? So I am following beat reporters across the NBA, and I follow Ryan Blackburn, and he's really good for the Denver Nuggets. And I'm telling you guys to go out and look whether or not you can find some bargains on Jamal Murray, because Denver's going to be there at the end. Right, I know you don't love the way the guy plays. We've talked about this guy before. I'm not saying he's going to be any better than David Lee, but people have forgotten about him. A guy who was a bubble machine, right? Bubble machine, pretty funny. Clearly put up numbers. You talk about high scores, right? This guy could fill the basket. And the question was, Michael Porter Jr. and him, are they going to be vultures? Are they going to take the numbers away? And now Murray's coming back. Michael Porter Jr. likely is not coming back this year. So there's no sharing of that offense. And when they make their playoff run, it's going to be inside, outside, Jokic and Murray. And this past weekend, Murray released some videos online of him doing like a windmill dunk. He looks in pretty good shape. He's been out 265, 270 days, something like that. He's been out for a while, I'm sure. Like Clay, like some of the other guys coming back from injury. It's going to take him a little while to get his feet under him. But there, in questions being asked of the Denver news folks, the beat writers, about Murray's return, what they said was, don't expect January. There are competitive steps Murray has to take once they're cleared for basketball activities, including 3 versus 3 and 5 versus 5 reps that just don't get simulated in rehab. Murray will take those steps. Once he does, probably fair to start the clock in his return 4 to 6 weeks from that point. So this guy is talking about earliest end of February. Most likely you're looking at more like March, which is fine because he gives you some time to buy because no one's looking for him, right? I'm going to forget who it is. I'd go off camera to give him some credit, but one of our listeners actually messaged me and said, what do you think about What do you think about Jamal Murray as a play while no one's looking at him? And I'm like, it's a great play. Let me go do some research on when he's coming back and what the story is. And he's like, okay, I mean, like, as long as you don't think I'm stupid, I'm like, it's not, I'm not the arbiter, but it does make sense, right? Because you saw what he can do offensively. And my thought process, he'll be there for games that are meaningful and then games in the playoffs. And it's really going to just be him and Jokic. So that's, he's definitely going to have the spotlight on him. And right now his cards are nothing. I mean, talk about like fractions of what they were.
Jokic is phenomenal, man. I asked you in the beginning of the year. I still think it's one of the best questions I've had. It's, if you're a GM, who would you rather have to start your team with, Luka or Jokic? We did a poll. I think 80+% voted Luka. Luka's probably a lot more not probably. Luka's a lot more marketable. There's a reason Luka has, all the shoe deal and Jokic doesn't. But if you're just talking about on-court performance, man, the numbers don't lie. This guy he changes the game when he's on the court. There's nobody like him. His passing, his shooting, he could do it all. He could play inside, he could play outside. Incredible player. Just incredible player. I hope he gets more love.
How come no one gives him shit about being out of shape? It's because he's a big man? I mean,
he's hilariously out of shape. He just like wobbles around. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I do know what you mean.
Like just watching him, like when it's like halftime, like how he walks into the into the tunnel. It's just, I don't know. You just want to laugh. I think it's funny. I think that is like humor that comes with him. I don't know.
All right,
but you're right. I don't
Listen,
know.
Do you think we're doing a good job with our show today?
It's different. Every show is different. This is why we do it in daily episodes, so 1 out of 6 days or 1 out of 7 days, they can deal with my bullshit.
Listen, I mean, I got a message. Someone, I think I sent it over to you. You might even have the screenshot because it's just on my phone, so I don't stuff. But we got a message from somebody today saying it was their first Instagram message ever. They're a mailman and they listen to our show. And they just wanted to reach out and say, listen all the time, great content, kind of, maybe they listen to it while they're delivering mail, like Paperboy, and throw it out there. So if you're listening, if you want to shout out his name, if you haven't, I'm the worst with this stuff. But
Matt Ventimiglia.
Matt Ventimiglia. There you go. So Matt, the mailman, thank you for the message. I told you yesterday, we responded to those messages. And, what I told Matt, and I don't know if I've ever really said this, you've talked about it, and I don't remember. I mean, the quote's been attributed to so many people: Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Michael Jordan. But something to the extent that I play hard every day because you never know if it's a kid who saved up money or parents saved the money to bring their kid to the game, and that might be their only day seeing me, right? It's how you perform every day. Because, again, there might be somebody who's watching you for the first time. Might be somebody listening to us for the first time. If it's your first time listening today, 551 or so episodes in, I want you to message me. Tell me how you found me and Andrew 551 episodes in, because I'm curious. Obviously, people are, because the numbers are going up. But we kind of try to keep that in mind, right? You can't mail it in. You got to show up because there are people who are listening to us for the first time. And, if you mail it in and it's just Angry Andrew all episode, they might not listen to 552.
Well, this is not mailing it in. I spent all day in the weeds trying to figure out what is going on. So I promise you guys, my fitness is as top notch. I'm playing 100%. You remind
He's 110%.
So you reminded me. There was this like Russian story or like a cartoon called Почтальон Pichkin. So like
what?
The mailman, Почтальон. It just my parents.
Ponce de Leon.
Почтальон Pichkin. It's kind of like a hilarious Russian cartoon.
And he's the mailman.
He's the mailman. Почтальон Pichkin.
Listen, Matt Ventimiglia, we got to get you to start collecting Karl Malone codes. That's what we got to do. That's my mission for 2022. First, you didn't understand why I said it, and then you could see. Guys, you got to watch it on YouTube. I said, got to get him to watch Karl Malone. Andrew's like, confused? And then, boom, the light bulb comes on. You can see it. He's like, oh, I get it, because Karl Malone is the mailman. I get it. Yeah, it was awesome. So what's you play today, Handsome?
My play. I'm gonna go to the well. I'm gonna go with a
David
legend,
Lee,
someone who has some dark secrets, but apparently people love them, and that's Mr. Tiger Woods.
What are dark secrets?
I just go on the internet and type in Tiger Woods dark secrets. But don't have your kids around because that would be inappropriate.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Doing it
but
now.
people love it. I think it maybe humanized him. Who knows? His son's getting into the game, and I found a card that actually his upper deck card, like this rookie card, that card ran, and they talk about manipulated. It's that Eiffel Tower chart, but this card is like it's similar to the Air Jordan card, Cage. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a Nike promo card of Tiger Woods. Have you seen this before? Have you heard of it before?
Yes, and I hadn't seen it before this year. And all of a sudden, they were starting to pop up. I had not seen it before, and I've seen some crazy Tiger Woods cards. The card one with the tiger there. Yeah, this is. I hadn't seen it before.
Be careful. Don't overpay. Don't rush. It could be. We have it on good authority that the Michael Jordan card, the promo. There's a lot more of them out there ungraded than it seems. Okay. So I'm worried about this card too because it's a promo card, but it's gradable. And it's right here, Nike promo liquid auctions, graded by BGS, the slab and all that stuff. Leaves a little bit to be desired, but it is what it is. But you can see this card has been a little bit all over the place. 2,300 back in February, April, 1,900, December 4th. We have this BGS 9.5 for 1,300 and 455 in August. So it's a little bit all over the place. I might recommend trying to buy this card raw. I might recommend trying to buy this card raw. And honestly, I have an oversized card that I got graded. And
I didn't know where you were going. You start a sentence telling people you have an oversized, and
that's
I'm like,
an oversized card.
What? Okay, you have an oversized card.
So I don't love how that BGS slab works. How that BGS slab looks. It's not terrible, but I would go SGC. I have an oversized Kobe card that I sent to SGC, and it looks beautiful in the holder. Beautiful in the holder.
The alternate size cards, because of the way it is with the black border, with the small ones, the larger ones, the way that there's no space, there's no like plastic wrap around it. It's just,
correct.
It looks bumped up against that, the black border. I know exactly what you're talking about. I agree.
I think it's because they have foam inside, right? It's like PSA and BGS, they have to make custom-made holders for specific cards. With the foam, I think they could customize it. At least that's how my Kobe oversized card looked. I think this card would look cool in an SGC holder, and you get it for $66. Guys, remember we're doing like the free giveaway, the 50 free submissions every single month to SGC. We're doing that, so shoot me an email. Maybe we could include one of these cards in the submission as well. But I think it's a really cool card. It's a cheap price. Take a look.
SGC. Are we gonna bring them on soon or what? Let Luca Nation have Adam or what?
What do they want to have Adam for?
Questions. Ask questions. One of the things with SGC, first of all, maybe they could say thank you because we're 50. Over the course of 2022, during the course of our sponsorship, that's 600 free grades for Luca Nation, so that's good. But you know how our folks do when you bring on Panini and no one else is bringing them on. They have questions. So guys, we're gonna definitely do that. I mean, one of the things we talk about, with our partners, one of the first ones to bring Mark Zablo out, and now the dude loves it. Talk about somebody who's on camera from Bleecker, right? He's good at it, doing lives and fun stuff there, right? People want to have a face, at least is what they tell me. They want to see who it is they're doing business with, right? You want to have that arm's length transaction, and I think we should do that for SGC. I think we should bring out, a face for SGC and let them answer the questions that people have. Let them hear and see straight from a person at SGC when somebody says the turnaround times and what they're doing and how they're different and what they've done to improve from last year. I think it makes sense. So why don't we try to do that? We'll try to do it next week.
That's right.
Cool.
We'll have Peter, the CEO of SGC, on for sure.
I mean,
it's what we kick basically every single business call off with is people in the hobby love transparency. They do. That's what they ask for. They want to know what's going on. They want honesty and people being upfront. So
if you type Tiger Woods Dark Secrets into Google, the first article is Tiger's Dark Secrets Out of the Woods.
Dude, have you ever read his text messages?
No, but that's a good title. That's like a nice little play on words. Get it out of the woods. Can
I emphasize dark? Dude, you've never read his texts? You're messing with me right now.
No,
Okay.
I've never read his text messages. Why do I need to read his text messages?
You
The
don't.
show is Luca's, Tigers, and Bronze. You hate LeBron. You think Luca is overrated and out of shape. Don't ruin Tiger for me. Otherwise,
He's got
600
that
episodes
covered all
in, we're
for
gonna have to
himself.
change the name. We're gonna have to redo this. We're gonna soon. It's gonna be what?
Mailman.
It's gonna be RJs and MJs or what? We'll name it after RJ Barrett because everybody seems to love him so much. No, I mean RJs and MJs. Oh my! I mean, what am I supposed to do here? So listen, this was a fun one. I enjoy it. I am, as we speak, on the ISA website, thinking about how to submit to them. Because if I talk about something, I like to make sure I'm able to speak about it, with some
Let me
knowledge.
caveat because I got better at communicating, but I'm also like a brain vomit, so I don't always. I have nothing against ISA. I wish I've talked about this. I want every business to succeed. I think there's plenty of business to go around, and I think competition.
I think you made it clear.
Trading,
it was more about the influencers. It was more about how it was done, right? And how what do you think? I'm an idiot? Well, I agree on 3 points above the VIG. I'm some kind of schmuck on wheels. That's good, fellas. I mean, I might have got the points
right?
wrong. Might have been more points than that above the VIG. 6
People
points above the
your,
VIG.
People loved your Goonie shirt yesterday.
Do you see what today is? Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Do you know what that is? You know what Chippendale Rescue Rangers are?
Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Not Alvin and Chippendale. It's different chipmunks. Alvin and the Chipmunks is not a Disney property. And they are singing chipmunks. Chippendale, right? They're a Disney property, and they had their own show, a Disney cartoon called The Rescue Rangers. And they flew around in a little plane. They had a friend named Monterey Jack. Cheese. He was like, I guess he was Mouse, maybe. I don't know if he's a chipmunk also, but his name was Monterey Jack. And he was fun. He was sort of like I don't know if he's Australian or what. I have no idea. Yeah, so lots of fun. So that's what this shirt is. I always get some stupid shirt.
Hey,
You always like to make fun of them.
Isaac Martinez says, nice B&T reference. You know what that means?
Bill and Ted.
Gotcha.
Bill and Ted. I talked about it because I was remember we were talking about who was famous and how I learned about different historical figures, and you were talking about the Genghis Khan, and I said how Genghis Khan likes Twinkies. That's from Bill and Ted. Genghis Khan's favorite food is Twinkies.
A few more. What else? What else? December PSA sub. I know it's going to be premature, but I think we're hearing it's at the finish line.
It's in the assembly stage. So normally after the assembly stage, it takes a little while, but we've moved it out of a grading, and that's just. Just the Ultramodern. There's still Modern from December. There's still Pokemon from December, but we just cleared our November group sub, which is amazing to think about. But right on its heels, it looks like the December one is moving. Hopefully, PSA is getting moving the backlog, and that's what that means. But yeah, we hope to have in the next few weeks some some December returns for you guys as well. Also, don't forget Whatnot, guys. Whatnot on Sunday morning.
Season finale.
Sunday morning at 10. So I was watching Ian and Leah like American Dad, and I'm glad we watched Home Alone during the holidays with Ian. It's the first time seeing it because today's episode of American Dad is Home Alone. Is American Dad Home Alone. But yesterday they had me watch, and it's a conspiracy theory one, and the alien in it is doing a podcast. Like he's like going over ham radio and the whole deal, and it's like, and the mom in the show joins the podcast, and she's like, "Let's start this podcast off by saying hello to the government because we know you're listening." And by the way, thank you to, and I forget what the hell she says, who sponsors the show, blah, blah, blah. And Leah's like, that's like you, Daddy. I'm like, I'm trying not to do that. So, here I'm working Whatnot, and it made me think of that, we get the Whatnot show on Sunday. But guys, it's fun. It's the last week of the season, another fun week. And I will tell you, talk about a fun way to end it. You know what the last game of the season is? Sunday night, Chargers Raiders. And it means something
for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the board yet.
Yep, Chargers Raiders Sunday night. Go ahead.
So here's my take on this Browns team, real quick. Best defense in the AFC North, right?
Yep.
Best running back in the AFC North. Pretty easy to say, Nick Chubb. Best running back in the AFC North, maybe top 3 in the whole league.
Yeah, Nick Chubb definitely when he plays. Although for some reason they didn't have him in there playing, which was very odd.
How can you justify bringing Baker back? Like this team, this should be a Super Bowl contender with a good quarterback, a decent quarterback. Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. No comments. All right, you don't share my
No.
my hate for
Decent for who? Who are you hating? I can't understand. You asked a lot of like defense
Baker.
and running back. Oh, you don't like Baker Mayfield? No,
I think he's gone.
I started talking about the Raiders game, right? And the reason why the NFL flexed it, right? Because it is a win and they're in game, right? So
For
it's
either team?
Yeah, team that wins is in, right? Team that wins is in, right? Remember I talked about how the Steelers could get in? Remember we talked about the Big Ben stuff? And what they needed was Jacksonville to beat Indianapolis and then not a tie in the Raiders-Chargers game. So it's funny to think about this. If Jacksonville beats the Colts, right?
Which isn't
If Jacksonville beats the Colts, okay, which is not going to happen, but if it happens, just walk me through here, okay? But just for there are fun little sports ones, right? Right? The Colts, by the way, just so that we're laying this out there, right? They're like a 15-point favorites, right? So
on the road,
it's a lot of fun, but they also haven't won at Jacksonville since 2014. Okay, Steelers a favorite at the Ravens. Very funny, right? All of those games will be finished, all of them, more than 3 hours before the Raiders and the Chargers kick off. They're all early games, every one of them. I believe if the Colts and Steelers both win, the Raiders have to beat the Chargers to get in, right? But there is a scenario where at 8 o'clock, if there's a tie, both teams can get in. Both the Chargers and the Raiders get in. So I'm not saying it happens, but they could just continuously take knees, end the game 0-0, and both teams make the playoffs. I may be reading all these things wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that could. Now, I don't think any team's going to do it. I'm sure these teams are going to want to go out there and win. The Raiders are going to want to win. The Chargers are going to want to win. And you name it in the whole 9 yards. But I'm 99% sure, I mean, you look it up if you like, that there could be a scenario, depending upon that upset, Steelers and Ravens and whole 9 yards, because Ravens will be losing, where both the Raiders and Chargers could get in if they tie. But if they actually play each other, the loser is out and the winner is in.
I think the Raiders win.
I mean, I think they probably win also. Well, who the hell knows? We'll see. We'll talk about it on Whatnot, guys, and I'll do a little more research so that I can figure that out because it's an interesting little story. So
Nets, real quick, Nets or Bucks tonight? Who you got?
Nets or Bucks? Is Kyrie allowed to play?
Now the guy who Brain Vomit, who's the founder of Brain Vomit, he buys a V-Friend. Of course
He does. I told you he was going to. I said that.
You're always right. You are literally always right. We're having a conversation. Woosa.
I'm one hand washing the other hand. I'm one hand washing the other. You wash my back, I make fun of you. No, you wash my back, I wash yours.
Is located. Oh my god,
dude. Oh, you are so funny. Yeah, well, he's back. He's back. It's it. He doesn't care about the influence anymore. He's making dirty jokes. Gotta love it.
No, super bad. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. If you guys want to just have like a laugh, or OG Jonah Hill days, man, that movie is so quotable, so funny, so good. See, that's my generation, Cage. I won't forget that movie.
Really? So sing for me. Sing.
What does that have
his
to
brother.
I don't understand.
He's the brother. Sing. No, you're not gonna sing no super bad songs. No. Remember when Michael Cera had to
He's
sing?
he has a voice of an angel.
He's the voice of an angel. Let's sing. Let him sing.
He's the best kid alive.
That's funny, man. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to be drinking beer out of a Tide container. I'll tell you that much. I've had beer out of many different receptacles, never out of a recently dumped out thing of laundry detergent. It's probably not going to be a good couple days after that. I guess it probably seemed like a good idea when he was doing it. I feel like it would be blue and
they rinsed
and
it
gross
out for sure.
and
They
soapy.
rinsed it out. They washed it with bleach. All right, we're just rambling here. So Nets, Bucks.
No, I'm happy when you bring up movies. So where's the game? Because if it's at
Brooklyn, Kyrie's not playing.
Milwaukee. And I think that's going to be kind of a trend during the season. And think about that for a second. They've now played and they've set up their game to play with Kyrie, which is going to be a different basketball game, different plays, different. And now they go into this game, even though he's healthy, you have to treat it like, oh, Kyrie just got injured and we got to go back to a different way of playing. And then next game, if they're on the road and he can play somewhere, okay, we got to go back to that. That's a pain in the ass, right? That's a pain in the ass. And I heard, who the hell was talking about it today? If it's a Nets Golden State Warriors final, there's no Kyrie. You know that?
Dude, that's June.
I mean, things change. Things change. But think about that.
Have you noticed that this virus usually hits in the winter a little bit harder?
Well, most do.
So,
this is when colds and flus happen.
Correct. So my point is June of 2022 is a way different story. Even April in 2022 is a way different story than right now. And by the way, I got sick with COVID just a few weeks ago. Doesn't feel good, man, at all. So it definitely is spreading. Let's not end this with COVID. You're right.
Sing it. These eyes.
Dude, but Kyrie, man,
super bad.
Kyrie. You forget how good Kyrie is. Just like as a player, all the hatred and all the nonsense.
Very good. Very good.
So good, man.
And he's a great actor. Talent. Of all the basketball movie acting, Space Jams and whatever, Uncle Drew, he was believable. He's believable, Uncle Drew. Watch that movie, guys. There's a basketball movie.
Uncle Drew like the husband of Big Mama?
I think he pulled out something better. I mean, Big Mama might be his type, but no, I mean, Uncle Drew was a ladies' man in his time, is what they tell me. He had a van and everything. But funny movie. We've talked about this. Funny movie. And they have cards for it. Pepsi made an Uncle Drew set of cards. So take a look at that. eBay.
Do you like Pepsi or Coke better?
Coke.
Easy? Just because it's like Coke is the Mickey Mantle and Pepsi is like what?
Every once in a while, Pepsi, I'll go with a Pepsi. Pepsi Wild Cherry is a good time. A little Diet Wild Cherry. I don't know. Coke just, I think if you gave me in an aisle, Coke, Pepsi, I take the Coke. NBT messaged me that they're bringing back Pepsi Clear, which no one ever heard of. I think it was 1994. Remember, I made a whole big thing about
clearly
Pepsi
done
Clear?
this card in there.
Yeah, but it's Pepsi Clear, which basically was Sprite. But it was Pepsi Clear. It was a clear Coke. So the thought was in the 90s, it was getting healthy. They wanted to make this healthy soda, right? Where no artificial coloring in it. So it was cola flavored without the caramel coloring. It just didn't taste like cola. And I'm pretty sure, I could really be butchering this, but I'm pretty sure they had a fantastic commercial. You'll pull up on YouTube, but we don't want to get like copyrighted. But it was Van Halen's Right Now, if memory serves. Where, the piano solo that leads in, and that was the right now, there's no tomorrow, and it was a Pepsi, it was one of those, it might have even been a Super Bowl commercial, I don't even know, but it was one of those, really, wow, well done ads, and it's 30 years later, it's still in my brain, Pepsi Clear. There's no tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. I want to look that up.
What about, remember that iconic Give Me a Coke and a Smile commercial with, the Pittsburgh Steelers? Was that before your time? No.
The Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, like Mean Joe Green?
Yes.
Crystal Pepsi launch ad, 1993. Van Halen, how Pepsi got Van Halen to give up right now. So, yep, there you go. Crystal Pepsi Van Halen right now commercial. I know my stuff. I looked it up, and I am right. Go take a look, guys. It was a pretty big thing. I happen to think that soda sucked, but it's cool nostalgia that it's coming back.
You would know. You would know.
Yeah, I definitely would. Remember, we got guys. Tell our sponsors we're doing a good job. If you happen to know a sponsor and want to pay, because Cage needs a Coke freestyle machine in his living room. Remember, that's how I know I've made it. I need one of those movie theater style soda machines. If anybody knows anyone at Coke wants to do a little sports car podcast, get me some soda. Let's rock. Let's go. What's the matter? What are you looking at? Let's let these people go. It's an hour long here.
All right.
This is what happens when we don't talk during the day. We have all of our brain dump conversations for an hour on the podcast.
No, I mean, I was just reading Julius Randle gave a thumbs down to the Knicks fans. And then I was reading his press release, which was...
Yeah, what did he say? He said he was pretending that he was the Mets guy in the crowd. Thumbs down, Mets. Is thumbs down going to be a rallying cry now, like it was for in baseball? No,
nothing as compelling as what AB said about Tom Brady.
By the way, we didn't talk about that. That's a whole other show. But did you see him outing Tom Brady's trainer? Was it Guerrero? I mean,
what did he say?
Way to make the guy look good. And you're like, burn. He's a message. Hey, I think Antonio Brown messaged him. And he's like, hey, you charged me $200,000 and you only gave me half what I want. I don't think I'm going to train with you anymore. So you owe me $100,000 back. And the trainer was like, AB, I wish you nothing but the best. You are amazing. You're an amazing athlete. You're an amazing human being. Just let me know where you want me to send the money, and I'll send you the money. No problem. And Antonio Brown posts this. Like, burn! I got him. Look at how bad I'm being treated by this guy. Meanwhile, it was like a master class in customer service. I was like, what is going on with this dude? Yeah, take a look. You can see his posts. I'm like, all right, listen, there's a lot going on there. I don't want to judge. I'm not in the clubhouse. I'm not there. I'm definitely not in that guy's brain. But you have to remember. These things, they kind of go a little sideways, and I've seen them work and I've seen them not work. And as a Raider fan, you have to know that I've seen many different sides of this. And I was pulling for Antonio Brown because I've seen the exact scenario happen with Randy Moss. He was there with the Raiders and basically quit on the team. This was a stud wide receiver who couldn't do it there, and then he left and went to the Patriots. And obviously, having Tom Brady throw you the ball is very helpful. My assumption was that Antonio Brown would have the same type of thing. And if you go back just a week ago, he had a 10-catch game. Was there money involved? Were there incentives involved? Was that part of it? Was he injured? I don't know what the answer is. I have no idea. I'd rather see it become a redemption story like there was with Moss and like there seems to be happening now with Odell Beckham Jr. When he was a problem, both at the end of his career with the Giants and forced his way out, with the Browns and forced his way out, and now has 5-6 touchdowns in half a season with the Rams. I'm sure he's going to get paid in the offseason. He has some pretty big catches and looks like he's, found a home there in the offense. My hope is that, Antonio Brown finds that for himself also, and whatever his next step is going to be. And
can I ask you one?
Could it possibly be boxing against Jake Paul? Who knows?
He would get knocked out. People don't, there's sports you could go from one sport to the other. It doesn't matter how your athleticism is. Like boxing is just a whole different game.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you are tough and strong in football, Jake Paul's been training boxing for 2 years, basically.
Just say it. So you guys don't watch the matches. You don't watch the boxing matches like I do, Cage. You guys, I watch the boxing. I watch the.
Can I explain this to you from a basketball standpoint?
Can I explain this to you from a boxing standpoint?
And I emphasize the word in such a condescending way, man. I suck. But
no, you're the best.
Tom Brady cards. I was doing a call today, and from the NFT space guy, but he asked me about Tom Brady cards. There's a Bowman Chrome PSA 9, bought it for half the price it is now. He's in it pretty good. He was asking, do I hold through the playoffs or not? Tough question. I had to think about it too, right? Because
what'd you say?
I said there's two options. I said I love cracking or bumping cards. So it's a PSA 9. I asked him if you looked over it because a BGS 9.5 is actually $10,000, Cage. So right now the PSA 9 is about 5 or 6K, but the BGS 9.5 is 10K. And I'm curious what an SGC 10 would look like, right? So I asked him about that. But then I also said, okay, right, the upside is he wins another Super Bowl, makes a run. great. But Brady cards have run up a lot since the Super Bowl. I don't know how much they keep running either. And if he bought it for
I hear you.
$2,500.
I mean, look, you're right. People buy these things. There's run-ups, and he's played very, very well. And we talked to, who did we have on? Was the Wharf? I mean, we talked to, I know we talked with Chris Hodge about pricing cycles also, but even when Mahomes won his Super Bowl, remember the prices came down in the offseason?
Yeah.
So we could be at a point where even if Brady does win the Super Bowl, there might even be a pullback. If he doesn't, there might even be a larger pullback. So I get what you're saying, 100%. And by the way, we should spend some time talking about this. This is what you get with our show. Even though we do a show every day, guys, I hope you realize that we're not cheaping them out. I mean, this is 3 shows here. Think of all the different topics we talked about here. Like we're not cutting this up and making it you just got an hour and 10 minutes of lunacy, brain dump. Thanks for sticking with us on that. I also have been getting some requests to talk about a little soccer more, a little hockey more.
We'll get Gunnar back on. He reached out today. He's got some really fun stuff.
He's got a little project going on too from Gunnar. But I mean, the Brian Ochre King, who's on Sunday morning every day at all the Whatnot shows, winning Mason Greenwood after Mason Greenwood from us at good prices. He's like, talk soccer more. Andrew knows soccer. He's a soccer guy. He knows soccer. Let's hear some more soccer. So we'll bring you that and message us, guys. We want to talk about what you want to hear.
Well, for Brian, I pointed him to the Edwin and LAFC Gunnar show we did maybe 4 weeks ago. So because we do a show every day. And Cage, yes, today is just chaos, all this stuff. But different shows are different. Yesterday, we did a very structured show. We did Would You Rather. We have the fractional report brought to you by Collectible, where it's very niche to like higher end cards and memorabilia. So every show is different. And I think because we have a show every single day, a lot of people are still catching up on, a few days ago. So I think it's okay to have this diversity of how we even approach a show. I think people appreciate it. And today I wanted it to be really candid because you and I haven't spoken all day. And you got this is what we like. I'll go for a walk. Cage will be smoking his stogie by the pool. And
2 today.
We'll talk. 2. You smoke a stogie today?
2. Because it was snowing. I told you, it's perfect excuse to have it because I'm shoveling. Kids are making snowman outside. Ian wanted to go in the backyard and I don't know. That was a real nice gift. Somebody I work with got me a pack of cigars, like a cigar of the month club. So for the next 3 months, I get 5 cigars in the mail. That was a cool little gift. So yeah, and it comes in handy on snow days like today. Yeah, guys. Listen, the other thing I'll say is, if you find yourself not hearing what you want to talk about here, and you're out there, I don't want anybody ever to leave the hobby. That's part of my thing. I don't know if you noticed, I posted a little bit more recently about things, to try to avoid in the hobby. I've gained now 100 followers in less than a week here. Keep those coming. I appreciate that so much. Send me messages. Somebody sent me a message recently. I'm not going to out them, but somebody sent me a message recently and said, hey, I collect hockey cards, but I don't really have too many groups to talk hockey with. And I don't really have too many, you guys don't talk about hockey too much on the show, but I know people who collect hockey, and I talked to them about hockey to try to convince me to buy hockey cards. So I started a chat on Instagram with me and the 2 of them. And I'm sure we'll grow that into a bigger group, maybe start, hockey. But I put 2 hockey people together and they've been chatting all day. I'm getting all the notifications, so I can do that. And if you're a hockey person, I'll put you in with those 2 guys. We want you to be able to enjoy this hobby, whether the price is up, down, sideways, flat, you name it. And, and part of that is the community and the people you're able to kind of share your hobby journey with. And right. We've built it up to a point where we know people with every sport. You want wrestling? We'll get you in touch with somebody. So
follow Zan Morning and David Peck. Let's keep going because I'm just getting started here.
Oh,
Logan
really?
Paul, what happens with the BCCE thing tomorrow? It's a big day.
I don't know. Does it matter? Because now his World of Woman NFT sold for how many ETH? 200 something ETH? $600,000? Ridiculous.
200.
Ridiculous.
Is that
he wrote it was like a $500,000 or $600,000 profit. I think was what he made on the sales. I don't even know. Some people think you just make money while they're asleep, I guess. And the fun part is, just because you were talking about this, I'm pretty sure it was like Decentraland or one of the other big companies that bought it from him.
Oh.
So coming soon to a theater near you is Logan Paul's shill of whatever that property is. so
basically what you're saying is you don't feel bad if inside of that box that's authenticated by BCCE is hoops cards. NBA hoops.
Do I
Zion
feel bad
Chronicles.
about it?
Full of Zion Chronicles.
Listen,
Of course we feel
it
bad.
starts the show off with my post from today about the Dwayne Wade card that somebody tried to take a marker to, right? There are bad actors, and what people are willing to do when the money comes to that point is different. So would it surprise me if it's fake and it was passed off as real? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all, especially given the information that came out, the investigative material that came out, and all that stuff. My hope is that it is 6 authentic boxes, first edition boxes, in maybe a 6-box case that wasn't sealed. You know what I mean? And just it was a 6-box, the outer packaging of maybe a non-first edition one that got a label upgrade by somebody, and that there still are. Like, if you open those boxes, I'll bet you they're still first edition. But as we've seen from recent sealed cases of Exquisite, the case price is significantly more than the 3 boxes buying them by themselves. Same thing here. That $3.5 million for a 6-box case puts the box price almost $600,000. No box is ever sold anywhere near that by itself. So part of the premium here is having one of the only cases that are that's sealed. He thought it was the only one, and that Gary, the Charizard King, Pokemon King, what I forget. He's been on all the lives. He has a sealed case, and I don't think.
Can I touch on that real quick?
Yeah, please.
When he was doing his Impulsive show, he was talking about how Gary has been one of the best mentors to him in this space. So I find that statement really fascinating, that he wouldn't know that Gary also has another one.
Well, Gary mentioned that in the live. In the live, and he said Logan knows I have 6 boxes. He just didn't know that it's 6 boxes in a sealed case.
And the sealed case makes it, Cage, and like the whole premium of a sealed case is that 6 random boxes have a less likelihood of hitting a Zard than a case.
Well, so it's like anything else, right? I mean, you're not going to say there's case hits because it's not a case hit, but your thought is twofold. Number one, if you get 6 boxes, more than likely you're hitting everything. Whereas in a box, like he just opened on Whatnot, there was no Charizard in a single box. He got some good grades. He got 110. He got a Venusaur 10 from that Whatnot show. But he did not get a Chansey 10, so that pop is still the lowest that's out there, and he didn't get a Zard at all, let alone a Zard in a 10. But the thought there is not just that, if you open enough, you're going to get something, major out of it, but even that, who cares? Like a PSA 10 Zard, I mean, I think it's $200,000 now. You know what I mean? Maybe even less. It's come down tremendously, right? Much to my chagrin that all those Pokemon cards will come down. So he's not going to get 10 of them in the case. I mean, I know all the other cards are worth money, but he's not buying that case because he's got a chance to hit this in it. You don't buy an Exquisite case because you got a chance to hit, one of these cards in it, right? You buy it because people keep it sealed, and the thought is that now becomes a rarity in and of itself. Rare wax is its own investable, right? So, and to say I'm one of the only, if not the only, sealed case of it, that carries a premium. It's why he would pay the $3.5 million. Because, listen, we've talked about this. It is also worth something to people who have a lot of money to be able to say I'm the only one, right? He's not the only one with a BGS 10 Zard. He's not the only one with PSA 10 Zards. I think maybe he thought he was going to be the only one with a case of this. Maybe, who cares? He's one of 2. And the other guy also has a BGS 10 Zard. So it's still in pretty rare company, right? That's worth money. Those sealed cases are worth money. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why there's a premium placed on it. Not just because, there's a better chance of getting something good in there. And honestly, I hope that it turns out that it is real and that there's some explanation for it. And if it's not, BBCE is a very respected company in the sports card space. If you look at the majority of like vintage breaks, look at like breaks on vintage boxes. Leighton showed his box. It had a BBCE wrap on it. I mean, that is, they have done this before. It's possible if it's not authentic, it's because maybe they went outside their comfort zone for this. And think about it. there are not a lot of sealed Pokemon first edition cases out there to authenticate. It's not something that you can really become an expert at, all right? Unless you've spent decades in the Pokemon space and have seen the boxes, have seen the stuff, and done all that stuff like I don't call it expose, but like the article did. Now, you'd like to think the BBCE would do that type of a thing if they're going to undertake authenticating something like this. So, I mean, I'm curious to see.
There was
what
probably
happens.
no one else to authenticate, and they got offered a pretty penny to authenticate it. So that's just my opinion.
I mean, listen, I think you can make an argument they authenticated it for free also because of the press that was going to get that Logan Paul is putting out a sealed case with a BBCE label on it. Everyone's going to see it. It's going to get a lot of publicity. So you can swing the pendulum the other way.
Either do it for free or for full price.
Free or full price, Blake Jameson. Free or full price, baby. That's
Guys,
it.
hope you enjoyed this marathon of an episode. If you did it's my fault. If you did, Cage did a great job.